Hi, it's Joe. Welcome to the Quilt Report. You remember in my last talk, I was talking about anarchy and quilts. Maybe a more accurate way to talk about it would just be to say individualism. That's what I'm in favor of, is individualism. Because what I like is the mark of a human being, an individual human being working by their own aesthetic lights. That's what I'm always looking for. I'm looking for, who is this person? And how did she do this? That's what I want to see when I look at a quilt. So I've been thinking about this because recently I bought a quilt top from my old friend Susan Bradford at a quilt show. And I like it a lot. It's from around 1900 or so, early part of the 1900s, 1910 maybe. And it just looks like it's pretty crazy. Like it's one of my favorite kinds of quilts, which is a cotton crazy quilt. That's true. It's a string quilt. It's made out of individual strings. And it just looks sort of jumbled. But then if you study it, you can see a whole story here. What I'm going to do is just pick up the camera and we'll talk about the story. Here we go. It's because I'm not much of a video editor. See this side that looks like it's all just a bunch of squares and rectangles and stuff sewn together? Well, if you look at each individual section, see this is a 4-patch. See that? It's a 4-patch. And alongside of it is the exact same thing. This one in the middle, those and those. Look at that. Here's a 4-patch. Same thing in the middle, those and those. 4-patch, same thing in the middle, those and those. It goes right on down. If you go down the line here, see this 4-patch? Same thing in the middle, those and those. And so on. Down it goes. We could just go down the whole line. Same thing in the middle, those and those. It's kind of fancy what she was trying to do there. Now in the next row, you can see a whole bunch of these. See this little pinwheel in the middle? And then a sort of a log cabin around it. This one is made the same. This one, not quite like that. Not quite. This one is another pinwheel, and a string up at the top. At the bottom, you can see, let me put this camera down. You can see down at the bottom, more pinwheels, and it's a kind of a fanciness. Well, the fanciness reaches a peak here in the next one. See the pinwheels there, fancy business here. And then, talk about fancy. Now, she didn't know how to do this, so she just figured out a way to do it by just top stitching these things down, which left a lot of raw edges along here, which she covered up with this orangey piece there. Very similar here. Didn't really know how to do it, so figured out a way to get the fan thing that she wanted. Everything's just top stitched here on a treadle machine. Well, all of these rows up to this point have a lot of fanciness in them. See that? Wow. Different kinds of, there's a pinwheel, as you can see. And then right here at this border, we're right in the middle of the quilt, it switches abruptly. Now there's a lot less of the fanciness that we had over here, and a lot more just plain strips over here. See that? A lot of these housetop, partial log cabin blocks, skewed, funny log cabin, and then a lot of just plain strips. Now, look at this over again, and you can see the dividing line? Over on the left, there's those 4 patches, and then there's the fancy blocks, and then right down this row, things change, and it becomes much plainer, just a bunch of strips sewn together. Now, we don't know what happened. Did she just say, the hell with it, and I've done enough fancy stuff? Or did somebody start the quilt, and somebody else finish it? We don't know. Didn't have a story attached to it. We'll probably never know. This is hand pieced over here, and this is all machine pieced here. Maybe that's a clue. We don't know. But this is what I find interesting about old quilts, is if they have stories, if you just look for them and look at what's really there and not take a glance and say it's just a jumble. You know what I mean? The individual. It's individualism. That's what I'm in favor of. Wow. See you next time.